The Seattle Seahawks just walked into Arizona and turned a normal game into a statement that the rest of the NFC cannot ignore. This was not a lucky win or a late comeback. This was a 44-22 punch where the Cardinals were hanging on by the first quarter. Sam Darnold only had to throw 10 of 12 passes, the backs kept dragging the chains, and you could feel it early. Seattle was in control of the field, the clock, and the mood. The scary part is that the scoreboard still hides how violent the momentum swing really was. Most teams need a perfect night from the quarterback to put up that kind of number. Seattle did it while the defense was stealing the show and flipping the field into a short track. Every time Jacoby Brissett or Keaton Slovis made a small mistake, it felt like the Seahawks defense was already one step ahead, ready to turn it into free points. That is what changes the conversation about this team. When you can blow a rival out on the road with your offense cruising and your defense doing the killing, that is the kind of identity that carries into games against contenders like the Rams. The next thing we need to break down is exactly how that front seven did it. How DeMarcus Lawrence and Tyrese Knight ripped this game open, and why that style might be the real secret behind this Seahawks surge. But before we get into that, hit like and subscribe button for more Seahawks and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 100 likes on this video. Seattle Seahawks defense just sent a clear message that they are not on the field only to get stops, they are there to put points on the board. DeMarcus Lawrence played like a star who has seen every look an offense can throw at him and still found a way to shock everyone. 2 separate times the ball hit the turf, and 2 separate times he scooped it, hit the gas, and finished in the end zone. When a veteran defensive lineman is leading your team in touchdowns in a game, that is not a lucky night. That is a shift in identity. Behind those scores was the chaos Tyrese Knight created snap after snap. He did not just clean up tackles, he attacked the pocket, blew past blocks, and punched the ball out on both of his sacks. Each strip turned into a touchdown the other way, which means his impact did not stop with a big hit, it changed the scoreboard. Add that to the other non-offensive scores this season, and you start to see a pattern forming. This defense is not content with simple 3-and-out drives. They want to flip games with one play. That is what makes Seattle so dangerous going forward. When the defense can tilt the field like that, the offense does not have to force anything. Sam Darnold can play calm, the backs can stay patient, and Jackson Smith-Njigba can pick his moments instead of chasing numbers. The real fun starts when you look at how this new defensive edge pairs with an offense that already knows how to move the ball, because that is where the ceiling of this team jumps into a different tier. Seattle Seahawks offense is starting to look like a group that can win on their own terms against any defense in the league. Sam Darnold is not hunting hero plays. He is running the show with calm reads, quick decisions, and smart ball placement. Instead of forcing tight window throws, he is taking what the coverage gives him, moving the sticks, and letting the scoreboard grow without drama. When your quarterback can stay that calm in a blowout, it tells you this is not a hot streak. It is a system that fits him. On the outside, Jackson Smith-Njigba has turned into the kind of target defenses hate. He can win deep, but he can also catch a short throw and turn it into a long gain with one cut. Cooper Kupp brings timing and trust on third down, quietly killing drives for the other team by always finding the soft spot in coverage. Rashid Shaheed adds pure speed that forces safeties to back up even when he does not get the ball. Together, they stretch the field in every direction and make it hard to double anyone. Behind that, the backfield keeps everything honest. Kenneth Walker hits creases with burst. Zach Charbonnet finishes runs with power, and both can slide out and catch passes when linebackers turn their backs. That balance means defenses cannot sit on one thing, which is exactly what you want when the schedule brings heavier tests. And while the offense is pushing its ceiling higher, there is another storyline quietly shaping the future of this roster, centered on one very polarizing name in the secondary, Riq Woolen. Seattle Seahawks fans just saw a new kind of headline hit the timeline. Not about a game, not about an injury, but about Riq Woolen's future. An ESPN report from Jeremy Fowler has already placed him on the early list of top 2026 free agents, and even hinted that teams expect him to reach the open market instead of signing a new deal in Seattle. For a corner who once looked like a long-term lock in the secondary, That feels like a quiet alarm going off in the background of a winning season. His story explains why the noise will not go away. As a rookie, he looked like a cheat code in Pete Carroll's system, using rare size and speed to jump routes and erase deep shots. Under Mike Macdonald, the call is different. The focus is on vision, tackling, and zone rules. And that is not the perfect match for what Rick does best. It is why trade rumors floated around the deadline and why other clubs are already circling, hoping they can plug him into a man-heavy defense and let him live on an island again. None of that means he is a problem. It just means his skill set may shine brighter somewhere else. The twist is that Seattle still needs him right now. Devin Witherspoon, Josh Jobe, Nehemiah Pritchett, and the rest of the group give Macdonald options, but proven length and speed on the outside still matter in big games. So while people argue about contracts and scheme, he is still part of the plan for this push, and that becomes even more important when you look at who is coming next on the schedule. A Rams team that mirrors Seattle in ways most fans do not realize yet. Seattle Seahawks and Los Angeles Rams are walking into this game looking like copies of each other on paper, and that is what makes this matchup so tense. Both sit at 7-2, both sit near the top of the NFC, and both sit near the top in points scored and points allowed. When you line up the basic numbers, it almost feels like you could swap the logos and nobody would notice at first glance. Which is crazy for two teams that built their attacks in very different ways. On offense, the numbers are tight across the board. The Rams put up a touch more through the air, the Seahawks are right with them in rushing yards and red zone finish rate, and both create explosive plays at a high clip. The one huge split is turnovers. The Rams have taken much better care of the ball, while Seattle has given defenses more chances, yet still keeps pace on the scoreboard because of their scoring bursts. Scheme-wise, Sean McVay leans on 3 wide looks and heavy tight end sets. Mike Macdonald and Clint Kubiak lean into multiple tight ends and 2 back groupings. But the end result is similar: constant stress on safeties and linebackers. On defense, the mirror feeling continues, but with a few sharp edges. The Rams give up slightly fewer points per game, the Seahawks tighten the screws against the run, and both groups get off the field on third down at a strong rate. Seattle has a clear edge in non-offensive scoring and in pure pass rush juice, while the Rams have lived on clean structure and fewer mistakes. That mix sets the stage for the real story everyone wants to know: which specific matchups on the field will break this balance and tilt this game toward one side. Seattle Seahawks are walking into this game knowing it might come down to who blinks first in a few tight spots on the field. The first pressure point sits in the trenches on Sam Darnold's blind side. Charles Cross and Gray Zabel have to deal with Jared Verse crashing off the edge and Braden Fisk powering inside snap after snap. If those two protect clean pockets and keep the run lanes clear, Seattle can run their full playbook. If they lose ground early, Darnold will be throwing with bodies in his lap all night. Outside, it turns into a long night of stress for both secondaries. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed will test Emmanuel Forbes, Kobe Durant, and Quentin Lake with routes that force them to tackle in space, not just cover grass. On the other side, Devontae Adams and Puka will see plenty of Rick Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, and Josh Jobe, with motion helping Matthew Stafford hunt the matchup he wants. Then you have the backs: Kieran Williams and Blake Corum slipping out on catches against Ernest Jones, Tyrese Knight, and Drake Thomas, while Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet try to expose Nathan Landman and Spates in screens and option routes. Every one of those duels carries more weight than a normal regular season week. Win up front and outside, and you are not just taking control of one game. You are grabbing a tiebreaker, shaping the NFC race, and putting real pressure on teams like the Lions and 49ers. Seattle Seahawks are walking into the most important stretch of their season with something every contender needs: a clear identity and a fan base that actually moves the needle. This is no longer a group trying to figure out who they are. You have a calm quarterback who can run the attack, a young star at receiver who can break games open, a front on defense that scores, and a staff that learns fast every week. That mix is the reason people are starting to talk about this team as more than a nice story. It is the base for a run that can reach all the way into deep playoff weeks if they keep stacking the right habits. Inside the building, players feel that shift. When a defense knows it can change games with one hit, when an offense believes it can answer any punch, the whole locker room walks a little different. At the same time, they know the margin is thin. One lazy week, one sloppy game, and all that hard work can slide down the standings. That is why focus, recovery, and detail in practice suddenly matter as much as highlights. Every rep is about living up to the version of this team that showed up in Arizona, not slipping back into old patterns. For the 12s, this is the time when noise and belief actually count. Home games get louder, road games feel less like enemy territory, and players scroll their phones and feel the push. Your reactions, your trust in this group, your energy after big swings, all of that becomes part of the story they are writing. The only real question left is simple. Now that the team has put itself in this position, with the Rams in front of them and the conference watching, how far do you think they can take this ride?